All right, guys, it is stress test time, and what I want to take away from the stress test are two things. I'm going to make two separate videos. Video number one, it's how to read a physics problem, and video number two is going to be all about how to get full credit on a physics problem. And I'm not going to go through the whole solution. I'll post a solution to the stress test if you're curious, but what I'm mostly going to focus on is the process and not the physics at this point, because I think right now that's probably more important. Okay? So for starters, if you're reading the problem from start to finish, right? If you're starting up here at start from rest and you're reading the whole way down to what is the average velocity for a trip, you're reading a physics problem wrong because there's just way too much information packed in for you to be able to keep it all straight. So the first thing I'll point out about this problem is, number one, 1, 2, and 3 are all problems that are all basically pieces of information, and the actual questions are A and B. So if I'm reading this problem, right, it says record a record of travel along a straight path is as follows. Number one, start from rest. I'm going to stop right there, start from rest. If I'm not moving, if I'm at rest, my initial velocity is 0, so I'm going to list that. All right, hold on, let's zoom out a little bit. There we go. So my initial velocity at 1 is 0 meters per second. Then I'm going to look at with a constant acceleration of 2.77 meters per second squared. So now acceleration. Okay. For 15 seconds. And since I have different stages, right? Since I have different stages, I'm going to list them like with a little subscript to let people know, or let myself know, that this is all for the first stage, number one. Okay? With that listed out, I can look at my first 5 formulas that I have in my notes, right? Okay, I have it listed at the displacement as D in the notes, but for this course, if you're going in the horizontal direction, it's also very common to just call it X. Okay. All right. So now look at the benefits to writing out my variables. Because I wrote out and labeled my variables, I listed my V naught, my initial speed as 0. I listed A. My 2 always kind of looks like a 7. I listed my acceleration. I listed my time. It now becomes pretty easy visually to pick out which formula I'm probably going to use. I'm probably going to use this at some point in that problem, and I'm probably going to use this formula at some point in that problem. Okay? So I'm not going to go through the whole problem because that's going to take a lot of time to list out the variables, but that's just a quick video on how to start reading a physics problem. Right, picking out the variables, listing them on the paper so that they are visual, and then looking at your formulas and identifying what you can do with that information. Okay? All right. The next video I'm going to post, guys, is going to be on how to get full credit on a physics problem.